What it do? What it do? It's your boy Baki back with another one. Just finished up Dexter New Blood last night after a long shift at work. Put in 12 hours at the stadium. Let's talk about it. All right, yo. So this is going to be weird for me to say, but I really enjoyed these 10 episodes. I enjoyed Dexter New Blood. This is obviously going to be a spoiler-free moment first. Then we're going to dive into the spoilers and talk about that stuff a little bit. I don't want to carry on too long because I think it's worth watching, but in the long run, just know that I enjoyed it and I think you should watch it. But, you know, from what I see on Twitter and everything, everybody's not really liking it. But I'm going to tell you why I think they're crazy. But we'll talk about that later on in spoilers. So, if you think about what New Blood is, it's basically just not even a reboot. It's kind of like a soft reboot to the ending of Dexter that we got in season 8, I believe, where he died in the hurricane and then he ended up, as a lumberjacker somewhere. Me personally, this is how I feel about it all. Okay, we can talk about the first 8 seasons of Dexter, if you will. Seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 are absolutely amazing and borderline perfect all the way through. Seasons 5, 6, 7, 8 are terrible, all over the place, inconsistent, and Dexter is doing all types of things. So what I like about New Blood is it kind of brings it back a little bit and changes the dynamic in a way that makes sense for continuing the series. For example, I don't really want to get into spoilers, but he has a new mentor now, in his mind that it makes a lot of sense at the same time. And everybody, I know people were enjoying the first 9 episodes. Don't tell me you weren't enjoying the first 9 episodes. So I definitely know that a lot of the choices they made were the right choices. I just think at the end, people feel like they made the wrong choices. If I had to give it an overall rating, it's pretty much going to be a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. Like I pretty much thoroughly enjoyed it through and through from beginning to end, especially the ending. But we'll get to talk about that in a few moments. Let's just do a little bit of good, bad, ugly. The good, like I said, is a lot more grounded. There's not a bunch of crazy things Dexter's doing. He's not double stabbing people with IV necks who are like ambulance EMT guys and bashing people's heads and inside of like what was that, a bike shop or wherever they killed that hillbilly dude in the 5th or 6th season. It was just like, what the hell? Like the rules got really inconsistent in 5, 6, 7, 8, and I feel like this kind of brought it back down to reality where it was like he would eventually have to deal with some kind of issues doing all of this. You know what I'm saying? He brushed it off a bunch of times in ways that was kind of corny, if you ask me, in the later seasons of Dexter. And towards season 7, 8, I mean, it just got absolutely wild. In fact, let's just dive right into spoilers now. So this is spoiler territory. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Personally, I say go watch it. But if you really like the ending to Dexter already, you probably don't need to watch it. That's basically what I can say about it is, you know what I'm saying? So let's dive into spoilers. Okay, so first off, I really just want to talk about Harrison and the relationship that is different from Dexter, okay? So people are drawing these comparisons online right now as we speak and saying how Harrison was down with the code and he was down with this and down with that. Those were tiny conversations. You can't expect people to say that they're down with something just because they say that they're down with something. Then you actually put them in the middle of it and they're still necessarily down with that. Okay, perfect example, right? When Dexter was found by Harry, how old was Dexter? 3, 4, 5 years old, right? He was old enough to remember the shit traumatically that affected him mentally from then on out, right? Literally, right? From then on out, he was affected mentally. Okay. When Harry started giving Dexter the code, Dexter was like 7, 8, 9. He was already slowly working in that time. You see what I'm saying? Dexter had a dad. Do you see what I'm saying? And his dad, right, took care of Dexter in a way that Harrison never got. Okay? So the whole time, Harry's teaching Dexter this code, how to do, how to move, how to act among regular people and stuff. Because he already knew that he was a sociopath, right? Dexter was showing early signs of that. For all we know, right, with Harrison, you don't see that. When Harrison shows up, he's a moody teenager. You don't think people have broken people's arms wrestling before with just so much adrenaline pumping? Or shank somebody? Like, things happen when you're a teenager, bro. And I know you've all lived crazy lives, so just think about it for a second. Think about how Dexter was acting. Remember the scene where him and him and Deborah are playing with the hay, and he's like throwing the hay around and shit, and Harry like leans over and he's like, Dexter, it's so good to see that you're actually like enjoying yourself. And he's like, I'm having a fucking terrible time. I hate the hay. This is boring. I'm just doing what you told me to do, which is blend in. And then he like smiles. You see what I'm saying? Harrison didn't have none of that in him, bro. If he did, he wouldn't be looking for a female or relationship. He was looking for, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of goals and shit Harrison was already trying to push forward in himself and in life, like a normal person, because his traumatic experience didn't affect him the same way Dexter did. And that's my whole point of why I think this show is so great, is because, dude, when Kurt dies, right? Forget the blood spilling onto the ground and him like getting wheezy. Forget that. Don't even think about that. The moment you need to realize is that Dexter put Harrison in the front line of it all way before he was supposed to. Way before he was supposed to. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, Harry slowly groomed that shit into Dexter. And over years, so from Dexter getting fucking grabbed, let's say at 4 years old till 17, Harry was slowly turning him into this. Harrison has not seen this man for 10 years. And somehow people think that in 3 weeks, he's able to just magically convince Harrison to go along with this crazy shit. When Harrison has had his own ideas, own fucking philosophies about life, own agenda about life for the last 10 years. Whether or not that's being a kid, that's just how it is though. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be able to convince somebody. And here's the moment I'm talking about. Dexter literally chops Kurt up, right? He's like, I usually chop him into 9 pieces, da-da-da-da-da. He's got like Kurt's leg in his hand and he's like, yeah, you do this. I'm like, do you not, like, Dexter never even questioned or looked at Harrison during these moments. If you rewatch the show, it's not about Harrison. It's about Dexter. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, Dexter needed that in himself, and he realizes that shit at the end of the show, is that he's a fucking crazy person. That's the whole point, and Harrison isn't. Do you see what I'm saying? And everybody's like, this is so out of character for Dexter to kill people innocently. Dexter has killed literally through acts of other acts, because of things, multiple innocent people. Dokes died because of Dexter. 100%. Rita died because of Dexter. 100%. La Guerta died because of Dexter. 100%. Deborah, not really. See, I don't really say Deborah died because of Dexter. Kind of, because she was in a situation where it was with Dexter, blah, 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 blah. But that one I don't really agree with. But majority of these people have died through Dexter one way or another. Like, oh, Dexter hasn't innocently killed somebody. He killed the hillbilly in the bike shop with the fucking whatever the fuck that was, and he whacked him like 50 times. No evidence, no trace. Nobody said anything about that murder ever, because that show started to just become so, we got to get the villain of the season. You see what I'm saying? So Dexter was already twisted, in my opinion, from the start, because he had this weird juxtaposed position to look at things and be like, I'm doing things for the greater good. He's literally Light Yagami. It's the ending to Death Note. How could you not be happy with that? Like, people wanted him to ride off with Harrison into the sunset and they just become serial killers together. That makes no sense. Why would Harrison go along with that? He almost had a girlfriend. Do you think Dexter cared about girls when he was 17? He didn't, right? He didn't care about nothing. That's the whole point of Dexter. Everything that we see in the front line is a fake. You know, until he meets Rita, and then he starts becoming a little normal, but he still has this crazy, easy, I kill motherfuckers on the front line. And even when he tells it to Harrison, right, he tells it to Harrison as a lie. Because Deborah's telling him not to tell him the whole truth. So when he tells it to Harrison, Harrison's like, oh, you just kill serial killers. That's all you do is just murder serial killers. That's amazing. You're like a fucking Batman that kills. You know what I'm saying? But then when he sees that Harrison's coach has been killed by Logan, or I'm sorry, when he sees that Harrison's coach Logan had been killed by Dexter, then right then and there, he realizes like, this is all bullshit. Everything you're saying is just for you to not get caught and for you to justify your reasons to kill. And that's exactly what it is. You know, all these lives, all these everythings, after 10 years, he started back into it and went right back into it. And to me, it was beautiful how it ended, because Harrison shouldn't have believed it. It's only been a month or two. Like people act like he'd been living there forever or weeks. It's not the same as Dexter's relationship with Harry, because Harry was a father. Dexter was not. And that's what I'm saying. Harrison's anger and his dark passenger doesn't really stem from Rita's death. It stems from not having a dad. Being in Argentina with Hannah, these kind of things are what really stemmed his problems. That traumatic stress from Rita's death is a whole nother ball game, but that could probably be settled out in therapy, arguably, because he was so young when it happened. You see what I'm saying? Whereas for fucking Dexter, he was old enough to remember that shit enough that it truly affected him all the way through the rest of his life. So I absolutely loved this fucking show, man. I loved how it ended. I loved Harrison. I loved Dexter. I loved all the side characters. I love that Dexter's girlfriend even kind of looks a bit like Deborah. And people think that it's corny for her to figure it out. Bro, cops can figure shit out. You don't think there's big busts in small towns? Why wouldn't there be? Shit happens there, absolutely, but you'd be damned to think that somebody's not going to get a bust in a town or figure out somebody murdered some shit. Like, shit like that is going to happen. And that's what I enjoyed about it, actually, was like, somebody finally put some brain together. Miami, right? People are like, well, how did Miami not figure it out? Because they're so fucking caught up in murder after murder after murder. You got to see what Miami police was like, right? What's Miami police doing every day? New murder, 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 politics, 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 politics. LaGuerta doing politics, LaGuerta doing politics over the other dude. I can't remember his name right now, but the older brother doing politics. They're all just dancing around each other. Miami is such a place for politics. It's got to use that money for funding and everything else. Whereas in upstate New York, they don't need none of that shit. There was like 3 cops. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot more time on their hands. And for the last 25 years, old girl's been working on a case. So she's been using her ingenuity and everything in any kind of way to try to just even figure out where these 25 plus missing girls are. You see what I'm saying? She was not dumb in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. You know? She wasn't. She really wasn't. You know, and I think that everybody's idea of this show is just kind of like misconstrued, because people wanted everybody wanted something different. You know what I mean? And to me, I think they perfectly wrapped it up. You got 9 lovely episodes of mystery, a little bit of like, where's Harrison going? Where's it going to lead to? And it still kind of ends open-ended. It almost ends, as in my opinion, better open-ended, because you could either say, okay, well, obviously Harrison doesn't have that dark passenger. That one kill was enough for Harrison and he's done, right? Or you can say that one kill started Harrison down a path and now he's going to begin doing some crazy shit. But I would think that'd be stupid, because he didn't have anybody to teach him the code. People were like, he's so down with the code. I'm like, Harrison doesn't even know the code. Harry had to teach this man the code over years for Dexter to be able to do what he had to do. You can't do that in 3. You can't teach somebody to code in 3 weeks. And that's what I'm saying is he literally had Harrison there for what, month, 2 months? Let's just say 5 months max, right? That's still not enough time. And that's what I'm saying. When he's chopping up Kurt, just look at that scene and how he's not even looking at Harrison. He's just so focused on his work and he's in it because he's lost behind the mask of it all. But that's what I love about this show is they're actually showing that Dexter really is insane. And he tries to justify everything that he does, but he's fucked up so much along the lines that it's just become too blurred. You can argue and say, oh, he's doing it for the greater good and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, a lot of people have died from Dexter who haven't killed anyone. You know? Either from Dexter directly or indirectly. Them finding out that he's who he is becomes a problem that needs to be dealt with. You see what I'm saying? So I fucking loved it, man. Me and the homies watched this at like, I got off work at like 10, 12-hour shift. I didn't even smoke or nothing. I watched it sober as a baby and loved every second of it, man. That last episode was just so good for me. I don't know, I guess I see where people don't like it 100%, but I totally think it was in the character of Dexter. Like I said, because at the very end, Harrison is like, it's not about the fact that like he's attached to the coach. It's the fact that the coach was innocent. It doesn't matter that he didn't have to love the coach, right? The whole thing is that the coach is innocent and Dexter's supposed to kill bad people. Do you see what I'm saying? So because Dexter is out here killing innocent people, Harry's like, shit, for all I know, right? You might have killed all these other fucking people. You might have been killing people along the side who found out about you. How do I know anything about you now when you won't even tell me the truth right here in front? And you're trying to still like dance. He's still trying to dance around it. The whole time Dexter was dancing around it. It wasn't until he told him to turn the safety off and shoot him that Dexter truly showed him who he was. Prior to that, even then, he was still just kind of, you know what I mean? Like thinking it was going to be all cake and ride off into the sunset like it was before. But it totally makes sense this time that it isn't because his own son is the one to stand up to him. It's very poetic, very Star Wars, very whatever you want to call it. You know, I actually really, really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a great way to end the arc, in my opinion. You know, Dexter shouldn't keep going on and being some amazing, prolific serial killer. That makes no sense. We've already had 8 seasons. You want another 8 seasons of just corny shit? Villain, serial killer, villain of the week. Like, come on, bro. You want Criminal Minds number of seasons? Come on. We can't have that. We can't have that. You know? I prefer New Blood being much more grounded, smaller, 10 episodes, you know what I'm saying? And every episode gave you bite-sized nuggets that made you excited. Week by week, we were just enthralled. Me and my boys, every week, we just like, oh my God, I can't wait for Dexter, wait for Dexter, wait for Dexter. You know what I mean? Not my homies would wait for me to get off work every Sunday. And it was just like every episode was just a treat. It was a blast. It was fun to watch. And I personally think that they ended it with chef's kiss, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I feel about it. If you want to talk about any ugly, like if we're doing good, bad, ugly, you know what I mean? That was just all my good. We're doing any ugly. My biggest complaint would be, why wouldn't she tell Logan, right? When Dexter's like, turn the camera off and he tells him all this shit about Kurt. Why wouldn't she just tell Logan to go check it out? And be like, get back in the cell. Until they find out, then they deal with that shit. That's my only complaint about the whole entire show was that was pretty stupid on her behalf. She had actually been pretty smart and resourceful up until then. And then at the very end, she's like, I'm going to go check it out. Like I couldn't tell Logan to go check it out. Like the brother knew where it was. You know what I'm saying? He knew where it was. So it's like, it was weird for her to do that. And I thought that in itself was stupid writing. But that was on her and not really on Dexter. I don't really feel like Dexter had any terrible writing here. And again, if you say that Dexter didn't kill innocents, I point you to the bike shop dude that he did not know that motherfucker. He just dealt with death from Rita and fucking took it out on that guy. And no, there was no consequences from that death ever in the entire show. And it's the same thing with Dokes and the boat and shit too, man. It's just like the boat shit didn't even come up till fucking 3 seasons after Dokes was dead, bro. Or 2 seasons or whatever the fuck it was. I'm like, that's so stupid. You know, there was plot holes all throughout Dexter. Let's be real here and let's be honest. If you're saying there wasn't, you're crazy on cocaine. You know what I mean? You telling me James Dokes didn't have anybody in his corner when that man died? They just bought that shit up. He's the Bay Harbor Butcher, but they're like, he never had a boat. And then LaGuardia doesn't remember that shit until 2 seasons later to see some dingy ass, dirty ass, dingy ass boat that had been sitting in the harbor for fucking 2 years and looks like it has been operated in 20? There were problems all over that show, especially after season 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, when Deborah killed LaGuardia, we are rolling down problem hill at that point. In my opinion, this season is not, no, there's no problems. The problem is you just don't like it. That, to me, that's the problem. It's just, you probably just don't like it. If you fucking hate it, you hate it. And I don't fault you for that shit. But I don't really feel like there's a lot of plot holes or anything like that, because again, the dark tendencies you see from Harrison is just his anger towards not having a father, and he's just it's built up. In my opinion, you never got really like killer vibes from Harrison ever. You know what I'm saying? And in that moment, Harrison's not dumb either. You know, he realized that his father's never gonna stop. Like if Harrison hadn't killed Dexter, Dexter probably would have got away. I'm not even talking about more shows, more episodes. I'm just saying, like, in theory, right? Dexter probably would have got away. Then he would have kept on killing. Eventually, something would have called him back to the knife. You know, that's just how it's been. Something called him back every time he's let it go. Every time he's stopped, something has pulled him back in to really show, you know, that he is lost. He's lost in the sauce. So I really, really love this series, man. I thought it was great. Like I said, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's a chef's kiss. Not many plot holes for me, not many issues for me, not many errors for me. I loved it from pretty much start to finish. So I would totally recommend it. I totally see why people don't like it. Tell me why you don't like it in the comments. Let's start a discussion, man. I would love to talk about this more, about why people hate it. I don't see it on Twitter, because Twitter characters is just not enough. So put some comments down below. Let's talk about why you guys do love it, don't love it, what you loved about it, what you didn't love about it. Because I know you mofos like the first 9 episodes. Don't even play me. Don't play me. You know you loved them first 9 episodes. So I understand you didn't love episode 10, though. People didn't want to see Dexter go. It's a tough thing to see one of your favorites go and pass, you know what I mean? But I feel like that was the perfect way to just get rid of it. No passing on the mantle or no corny shit like that. I mean, they're probably going to do something called Harrison. That would be stupid in my opinion. But, you know, they might. Who knows? But regardless, I think that it was a perfect way to send off a legend. Michael C. Hall absolutely killed it, rolling back into this role of Dexter. And it was perfect finish. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for kicking it with your boy. This is going to be uploaded real quick. I'm going to get this going right now as soon as I'm done hitting this button. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Be on the lookout, all right? Peace.